All right, everybody, if we can find some seats, we're gonna get going here. Thank you guys all for coming out to honor the memory of one of the most useless people we've all ever met. And we're just gonna get going and bring him right up to start. Gonna make it real quiet so he thinks he's about to go on stage. Let's go for Mike Peters, guys.
Fuck him!
Yes, fuck him indeed. So just a couple bits of housekeeping when Mike gets settled. Obviously, he's leaving behind his 3 dependents, Mac, Dennis, and Dee. College is expensive, even for those cats. So if you guys want to make a donation in the form of wet cat food or actual cash, there's a jar up front. Please, all the proceeds go to this worthless piece of shit, all right? So please do it. And let's give it up for Johnny and Heather and Teresa at the Barley Corn for having us here. They're not open today. They opened up and are doing this here for us, guys. So make sure you tip them well, all right? This is a really great place. It's a great experience to have you here. And who's ready to feed Mike a shit sandwich? All right. And you know, when I was setting this up with Sasha, I kept getting the same questions. There's like, who? Why? You know, but it's, we're here because we kind of tolerate him. But he looks good in this suit. Who guessed? Who knew? You know. Like I said, you know, I would ask for a moment of silence, but I wouldn't want Mike to get confused that I was in the middle of his set that was going on. You know, he doesn't handle compliments well, so it's made it kind of awkward to try to build them up. But at the same point, it's gonna be fine because he's not gonna hear any at all today. And you know, I was worried when we were setting this up. It was like during peak COVID. It's like, oh man, we're gonna have our own super spreader event. But instead of like anyone dying, we're all just gonna end up really attracted to Jodie Sweetin. And you know, there's probably not gonna be a lot of dirty jokes tonight. But it's not because we're all prudes. It's just that nobody views Mike as a viable sexual entity. You know, Mike is short, and he's made. You are short. I didn't have a lot of time for a segue, okay? And but he told me once a dream of his was to have sex with a midget just so he could say that she went up on him. Yes. For those who didn't hear, who am I, Brent? So if anyone has had any of the open mics recently. You know, Mike knew what was going to happen here today, and he came regardless. And, you know, that's the opposite experience of his girlfriend, Sasha, who's used to no matter what he tries, she never comes regardless. You know? So that's fun for him, not for her. Your heart's in it, though, buddy. That's all that counts. And he does have a beautiful girlfriend, Sasha. Sasha, where are you? Hey, Sasha. And she was telling me in confidence that when they're in bed, he hates hand jobs because it reminds him of high school when he used to babysit his nephew. And, you know, Mike went to college at Mansfield University, which is famous for producing lesbians, which is not a surprise at all because Mike went to college at Mansfield University. And, you know, sadly, Mike's father wasn't able to come today, and we just wish he had that same problem almost 40 years ago. We're going to keep it right moving, guys. Mike is the best, and we all know it, but we need some reminders of how shitty he is and can be as well. We don't want him to get a big head. So please bring up John Bianchi. Come up here and let him have it.
Michael. Sorry. Michael came into my life 15 years ago. He was my best friend from the very beginning. I remember when I was stuck in a burning building, he jumped in and dragged me out. I also remember When I was trapped in that well, he alerted the fire department and they pulled me out. It's not fair that he's gone now after eating that entire Hershey bar. May you rest in peace. Now, who wants to hear an actual eulogy? Well, not to say that wasn't an actual eulogy. I wrote that several years ago for my dog Michael, who died in 2007. So. Okay, so anyways, here's what I meant to read. Oh. By the way, these aren't bifocals. Here lies Michael Barry Peters. He died doing what he loved, being smothered with a pillow by his cats. Sasha might have helped. But there are worse ways to die, though. Heart disease, suicide, toxoplasmosis, being strangled by John Bianchi for not putting him on any shows, blunt force trauma from being fucked to death by a horse cock strap-on worn by Sasha and borrowed from Steve. I think she may have had to add a few dozen notches to the strap. And of course, Taco Bell drive-through drive-by shooting. Live no mas. Now, to be serious, though, if not for Mike keeping the open mics going at May Bees and other places later on, I might not have gotten into doing stand-up. And I think almost everyone here actually owes him a debt of gratitude for organizing as many shows as he does every year, every month, every week, really. So, cheers to your memory, Mike. May you rest in cat puke.
What beautiful words. All right, we're just gonna keep going. If we could make it real loud for Mark Hoover, guys.
You don't. Okay. Mike Peters was not a good man. So I'm here to celebrate the liberation of his 3 cats, Mac, Dennis, and Dee, who've been held captive for far too long. In fact, I came up here with a black eye I gave to myself the day. I gave it to myself the day that I heard Mike passed. So I get myself to stop smiling. Seem more appropriate. Although he was my arch enemy, I do want to pay my respects. Remember the first time I met him? I was pointed in his direction when I showed interest and wanted to pursue comedy. And I remember the first day I met him. It was at the Wine Cellar Tavern in Vestal. And I walk in, he was there already. He was standing there, quite aloof, staring off into the distance, seemingly engulfed in some sort of, I don't know, deep, distant thought. Something like, I should really get a job. Or maybe a burrito. Think I'll get a burrito. And then, through his maniacal ways, he whisked me over to a table and began telling me about the local comedy scene and some of the savages and degenerates that have passed through the Binghamton comedy scene. Many of them are here today. And, you know, he really hooked me that day onto stand-up comedy. He gave me the bug. He got me on the junk. To this day, all I think about is shitty jokes. I wake up thinking of shitty jokes. I go to bed thinking of shitty jokes. I have fucking dreams about shitty jokes. Thanks to Mike Peters. Rotten hell, Mike Peters. Go get fucked by Danny Tanner.
Thank you so much, Mark. We know you dream of shitty jokes, but too bad you don't dream about ironing your pants. We're going to keep it going right now. Give it up, came all the way from New York City for this.
Oh my goodness.
Mr. Matthew Silver.
Guys, keep it going for Steve for convincing me to use a personal day to come up to Broome County in fucking February. Steve looks like he survived being left in a hot car as a child. Steve has 2 kids, which is appropriate because 2 is also the type of diabetes he has.
I have 3.
For the purpose of this joke, you have 2. John Bianchi was up here. John is a lot like the groundhog, Punxsutawney Phil, whereby if you see his 5 o'clock shadow, it's 6 more weeks of no punchlines. Seth Ruddick is here. You can hear him fucking cackling and talking in the back. Seth looks like his safe word is the N-word. The first time I ever met Seth, I was like, I bet this dude definitely has a hobby of fixing broken laser tag guns. Yeah, Connor Swagler wanted to be here, but then who's going to be that cool older dude at the skate park? For those of you that don't know him, he totally looks like that. Bill Lake is here. Bill Lake's act combines the dynamic energy of the Golf Channel with the excitement of visiting a model train museum. Bill looks like he wears a stocking cap to bed. All right, but now the man of the hour, Mr. Mike Peters, the man to my left. If Mike were a Marvel superhero, his superpower would be the ability to make any woman a lesbian by having sex with her. Mike is the answer to the question, can a grown man make up an entire wardrobe with clothing that was purchased from merch tables at the Warped Tour? Mike is the love child of an orgy with a bunch of Code Red Mountain Dew bottles and a bunch of Hot Topic stores. Do you guys know what the Citizens app is? It alerts you when there's a crime going on. I think anytime Mike has sex, there should be an alert on the Citizens app because it's definitely a crime against nature. Mike doesn't smoke weed, which is ironic because he looks like he sells vapes to underage kids. Mike will often post on Facebook about his 3 cats and give them like human characteristics. Mike, just say what you mean, dude. We'll accept you. All right, wake up. This crowd is, I've seen better crowds at a frickin' Travis Scott concert. Mike runs a podcast. He's very professional about it too. Like, for example, when I did his podcast, I showed up at 4, the podcast started at 5:30. And then he proceeded to call me a dickhead because I didn't know the name of an actress from Everybody Loves Raymond. I've already written letters to Spotify. Yeah, Joe Rogan is not the most dangerous podcast host out there. Mike looks like he's an IT guy who only works on child porn sites. Now, for those of you who don't know, Mike is the premier booker for stand-up comedy in this area, which means he produces a lot of shows with lineups of comics who look like they're on probation for storming the Capitol building on January 6th, present company included. But anyways, Mike, though, a couple years ago, this was 2018, I came up from New York. I'd been doing comedy for 4 years, and I wasn't getting booked. I was really, really depressed. And Mike booked me on 2 shows in a week, and it convinced me to keep going. So I owe this man a lot. And Mike, I love you, buddy. Thank you so much.
You know, I was asking Matt to do the show with us today. Is where's it gonna be? I was like, oh, it's kind of this alt room, and he got all excited because it auto-corrected to alt-right. Now here he is. But ladies and gentlemen, let's make it real loud for Holly Griffin.
All right, so Mike's dead. I guess that's why we're here. I was talking to someone at the bar earlier, and he said, "There's a lot of people here," and I said, "I know. Like for Mike, that's a lot." A lot of you I don't even know, honestly, and I'm a little upset that this is going to be the first time that you see me doing comedy because I didn't care enough about this to write anything good. Also, as you know, Matthew just kind of roasted a few of us. I thought about that, and then I realized I don't care enough about any of you to do that. So. We're all very upset. I know Sasha is very upset. I don't know if some of you might be the first time you've ever met her is today, but most of us, when we met her, we thought, good for him, you know? And now that he's gone, good for her, you know? For those of you who don't know, Sasha will be opening a niche baseball/punk rock memorabilia store. The only store to open with a going out of business sign in the window on the first day. Honestly, I'm kind of glad that Mike died before Sasha could break up with him. Because honestly, we would have had to hear him talk about it for 4.5 years, right? I'm sure his therapist is glad as well. I've never really been good at ending conversations, which means I've had many 5-hour conversations with Mike. I've been stuck at bars until 1:30 in the morning knowing full well that I have to work the next day, and I keep going, all right, because that's the only conversation ender that I have. But he keeps fucking going. I'm gonna have to learn how to act so I can fake family emergencies when I need to end conversations with him. I'm really glad that Mike has met his life partner, and some of you might be thinking, they haven't been dating that long, that's pretty crazy. Don't fucking point at each other, that's the joke! Anyway, I'm talking about Steve, not Sasha, that's the joke. Fuck you guys. But I'm really glad they met each other. I can't imagine the sexual tension when they're alone together, or in a room together alone. Honestly, keeps me up at night thinking about it, because I'm masturbating. But no, in all seriousness, Mike's a great dude. He just is, and we all know it. 90% of us would not have work in comedy without him. Obviously, Ellen and Zach, that doesn't apply to you. That's why I said 90%. Because they're actually funny, so they get shows and stuff. But no, Mike, I hope you rest in peace, and I love you, and happy birthday.
I just want the record to be known, there's no sexual tension. I just really want to see his dick and he won't show me. So guys, maybe if we could fill up the tip jar to $100, he'll let me see one ball. You know? We'll see. That's the most commitment I've gotten from him yet. But let's keep it going. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Josh Wallenstein.
Damn it! I had my very heavy hand. I'm sorry.
Great job. So this is actually the music stand that Mike used to use when he was in band in 1943, high school. So it's a little fragile. I'm gonna keep this brief because there are like way funnier people here than me. Mike Peters is also here. I have a tough time telling jokes about people that I really care about and that I respect, so this will be pretty easy. It's very fitting that Mike's last name is Peters because that's what the laughter does when he gets on stage. Mike's parents, both of them are teachers, and they really wanted him to go into education. And I, for one, also want him to go into education. I think he would be a great teacher. He would just really have to project because legally he would have to teach from 100 feet away. Mike has a nephew, and I'm very jealous. Not of Mike. That wouldn't be appropriate. I'm very jealous of his nephew because I just feel like Mike would be like a really cool, hip guy. You know, he's the fun uncle, you know? If your fun uncle only has expired potato salad in the fridge and dresses the way depression feels. Mike talks about how his grandma was truly convinced that he was gay, and I just think it's adorable that he calls his girlfriend grandma. It's a cute little nickname. Mike loves cats. Sorry, I read that wrong. Mike loves catfishing, and if you don't know what I mean, just look at the cover picture for his podcast. Who is that guy? I'll pay $100 to anyone who can find him. No, Mike does, it's been established. Mike does have cats. He has like 300 or 400. And they say like, if you die alone and you're with your cats and nobody finds you, like the cats will eventually like start eating you. Mike's cats will be set for all 9 lives. Between his remains and the Taco Bell remains throughout his apartment, like they're gonna be, they will not want for anything. They won't. Mike used to be a sports columnist back in his day, and they say those who can't teach. Those who can't teach gym. Those who can't teach gym, they lay at home in their underwear writing about field hockey. Mike talks about how he knows that his girlfriend is the one because she laughs whenever he farts. That's also the reason they're not allowed back at church. Really put a damper on his grandma's funeral. Even the pallbearers were appalled. I do, in all seriousness, I owe a lot to Mike. He has really changed my life. He's given me so much, and I don't just mean the poppers. You gave me that one. All right, I'm Josh Rollinson.
Make it loud for Josh, who was the second gayest man up here for that performance. Coming all the way down from Elmira, New York, Dan Mullen.
I can't believe he's really gone. Dude, he was just so young. So young. Such a short life. And it wasn't always very easy. In the beginning, all he really wanted was just to find a little bit of love and acceptance. And that's exactly what he had as a child. after those circus freaks pulled him out of the trash can. They accepted him as one of their own. I mean, sure, at first he was just a part of the act, but after a while, they accepted him. And they took him in. And, they accepted him because circus people are really, open-minded people. Of course, eventually they did start to grow apart a little bit as Mike got a little older and started talking. I don't know, I guess him running around the camp trying to guess everybody's weight was just a little bit too much for a circus dad. So they had a parting of the ways. And then Mike struck off to Maryland, trying to make his mark in the world. And well, not too much longer after that, somebody stabbed him. But while he was kind of a lesson, he tried on sweatpants for the very first time. And it was magical. And he wore those sweatpants all the way to Binghamton, the parlor city. Oh, how he loved the rumble ponies. He wanted to be a rumble pony. And no matter how hard he tried, they just wouldn't let him play. But that's okay, because that's when he discovered his true talent. Begging strangers for tips. Of course, that wasn't his real passion. No, his big passion was for his cats. Seems like just yesterday he was showing me photos of his cats. Blitzen and Mitzen and Daryl and Benny and Bonnie and Winkin, Blinkin and Nod and Joni and Mixie and Trixie and Ted. Oh, he doted on those animals. He gave them all the love and nourishment they would ever need. Even after he passed, he fed them for at least a week. But I think it's fitting that the SPCA sent such a lovely wreath to his funeral. Mike was very active in the feline community. You know, I think that one thing we should all learn from this horrible tragedy is to know that feline AIDS can strike down anybody, no matter how young. I told him to wear a condom. But as some of you know, Mike had size issues. And they only make those condoms but so small. Damn you, Trojan. Why? Well, before I go, originally I had planned on reciting for you a 20-stanza poem I wrote for Mike. But then I realized that writing poetry is really, really hard. So instead I'll just say, Mike, wherever you are, probably up there somewhere, trying to get into cat heaven, you will be missed.
Keep it going for Dan Mullen, everybody. That was fantastic. Now, Dan touched on Mike's time at the newspaper in Baltimore, which was famously had a gunman come in and shoot a bunch of people and kill them. And they only stopped when they realized Mike had quit 3 months before. So let's keep it going now. All the way down from the Cortland area, Mr. Seth Ruddick.
Yep. How we doing, gang? I brought drugs to sell since I got you all here. 200 milligrams, they'll fuck you up, man. $20, you want to see any? Just hit me up afterwards. Oh yeah, Mike's dead. Yeah. Yeah. Sad. sad. Think about all the stuff that he left behind, you know? John Bianchi. He's not gonna have anything to do now. There goes his whole social life. Gone! Blink of an eye. And Steve, who the fuck in their right mind is gonna book him from now on? Only a friend would book that fucking idiot. And me. What a dick. Why do you think I'm moving to the city? That asshole far outlived my usefulness. He's done with me. Hey, you want to do Kirkwood for the third time? Well, why not, Mike? Fuck that guy. Fuck Mike. Yeah, there's a great venue right down the road from me, but play it twice in your life. Douchebag. This is such a nice gesture. But, man, I'm glad it's almost over, aren't you? Fuck, this is rough. I don't know. It's fun, though. Don't you think? Remembering Mike? Yeah. I was hoping he wouldn't be here. I was catching shit for not dressing up. This is what I'd wear to his real funeral, goddammit. And I would have the common decency not to fucking speak at it, too. This is way too much for me. No. It's fun, though. He's really made something of himself, you know? It's crazy thinking back 6 years ago when he'd just sit there looking at his phone, ignoring you, and then now he just sits there looking at his phone, ignoring you. He's come so far. He books venues now. Man, remember Spotlight Gang? Remember all the fun we had at Spotlight? Yeah. Me and Mike almost got into a fight with a couple black ladies out there. He didn't even say thank you for getting... I got us out of it. I might have gotten us into it. But I got us out of it, goddammit. He forgets the little people. And his climb to the top. All the people he stepped on. Deb and Tori. Forget about them. They're not here. They didn't want nothing to do with him. I'm the only original Mike 607 crew member. CJ Yeomans, he couldn't make it. He's dead, but nobody went to his funeral. That's just mean. Oh, fuck. I hope this counts for a funeral, too. I'm not going to another one for it. I don't know. Now I feel like I gotta get sappy and shit. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice getting work. Let's be honest. That's what's real nice about Mike. He'll book you. Whether you're funny or not, he'll book you. And we should really respect that of him, you know? Mike, I love you. Can't wait to move away from you.
Seth Ruddick, everybody. I don't know if there's anyone on this planet that I'd want to see what he does when he's alone and no one's watching than Seth. Like, I just want to go to his house and play Guess the Stain.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it going, guys. Binghamton royalty, Bill Lake.
Thank you, Stephen. It's truly an honor to be here with all the distinguished roasties today. Red Fox is here. When I was a kid, my parents wouldn't let me listen to a Red Fox album because, you know, they were huge racists. Bob Hope is here. The only person that's entertained more troops than Bob Hope is Mike's ex-girlfriend. Nipsey Russell is here. Not many people know this, but Nipsey got his first name because his mom's tits used to get vodka. That's nipples plus tipsy. It's Nipsey. Well, it would be great if we had the original host of those TV mics or those TV roasts, Dean Martin, here, because he was a fun guy. He was always playing drunk, perpetually drunk. Instead, we have Stephen Brown, who is not a fun guy. and he's perpetually gassy. We'll take what we can get. But I think it was a great idea to have Mike's living funeral at age 39, so we can see his smiling face. Because as we know, when he actually goes, we will not be able to see his face because his cats will have eaten it. Can't believe I'm the first person that did that joke. Mike claims it took me a couple of years to warm up to him. That's not true. I still have not warmed up to him. I'm just here for the free pizza. It's been well established Mike has 3 cats. What most people don't know is Mike gets a new cat every time he has sex. Not to celebrate having sex, but because a cat's asshole tends to get stretched out after you fuck it once. Mike likes to joke that his parents have only seen him perform comedy once, which is weird because I have seen Mike on stage hundreds of times, and I've yet to see him perform comedy. Mike also likes to joke that his grandma used to think he was gay because he went so long without a girlfriend. That's only partially true. Mike's grandmother thought he was gay because she once saw him throw a baseball. And Mike does have a girlfriend now, Sasha. This is true. The first time I saw Mike and Sasha walk into the Kelly's open mic together, I'm like, is she dating him? And then they proceeded to look at at their phones for like 10 minutes and not talk to each other. And I'm like, yeah, she's dating Mike. Sasha told Mike she's attracted to guys who are unconventionally handsome, which has to worry Mike that someday she might meet someone who's at least unconventionally handsome. I don't want to say Mike isn't romantic, but the only candlelit dinner he and Sasha have had was the night the power went out at Taco Bell. It was a magical night. Well, Mike, you're being a good sport. You're sitting here, we're all just pounding away at you, and you're taking it, pretending to enjoy it. Now you know how Sasha feels. Now my notes say sincere wrap-up. No, seriously, if not for Mike, putting so much effort into curating local open mics, none of us would know that Brent Tarantino once got a hand job from a Chinese midget. But seriously, Mike, thank you for all you do for the local comedy scene, putting us all on shows. Really appreciate it. Thanks a lot, bud.
Bell Lake, everybody. So we just had a fun person show up here, Mr. Russell. Has anyone ever seen Russell? He's got a very enthusiastic bit about weird dicks that everyone now knows was inspired by Mike. So, all right, let's keep it going. Make a real warm welcome all the way from Syracuse, Mr. Mike Terry.
He gets the handshake today. He's earned it. All right. Round of applause for yourself for coming out here tonight. A lot of people are here tonight to pay respects. Paul Spratt. Paul Spratt is here. Is that correct? Paul Spratt? Cool. Paul Spratt looks like a knockoff James Thank You. Get into it. Holly Griffin has poor eyesight. Dan McMullen. Dan McMullen's a cool guy. If you go to his house right now, you can hear screams coming from his basement. Abdul Hadi. Abdul Aziz, he rolled down here with me. Abdul Hadi has small wrist. I don't know. This is great. I'm going on people's Facebook pages, to be honest with you. Practiced this shit this morning. Zach Hammond is here. Round of applause for Zach Hammond. Zach Hammond is very funny, but every time I look at him, I think to myself, where is RJ McCarthy? McCarthy. Will Phillips. Will Phillips is in the building. I seen him from Utica. That's what's up. I seen a picture of an old Facebook picture of Will Phillips kissing the open mouth of a crocodile. White people shit, am I right? Halfway down. Ellen Doyle is here. I've never met her, but you seem pretty cool. Never met Ellen Doyle before today. However, seeing you in person versus Facebook, you look way older than I thought you were. Way older. Pictures make you look like you're 25. I'm just saying, these are jokes. I haven't met her before. I don't want her to take shit personal. Gotta watch my back when I walk to the parking lot. Stephen Brown. When it comes to comedy, he's in it for the money. I'm on to you. I want you to know. I'm on to you. Chris Williams. Is that how you say it? Chris Williams?
It is.
I'm not gonna lie, the first time I saw your Facebook picture, I thought you were Holly Griffin. I was like, what the fuck? Why does she need 2 Facebook pages? Why does she need 2 Facebook pages? Appreciate it, man. Get this man a round of applause, goddammit. He's risking his life here tonight. All right, here we go. Seth Reddick, you already know, man. Seth Reddick is here tonight. Said he's a Binghamton legend or Binghamton faithful. If you hear Seth Reddick's voice, you can tell he has a diet that consists of cigarettes. Matthew Snover. Is that how you said it? Matthew Snover. Matthew Snover has a haircut of a douchebag. Some of you remember the real James Fayku. Did he make it? Yeah, I didn't see him. No? All right, well, I'm still going to tell the joke. James Fayku, if you remember, he was the host of George O'Days for far too long. Far too long. They should have got him off the stage after the 3rd set. All right. RJ Prupa is here. RJ Prupa. Josh Wallenstein. Josh Wallenstein is in the building. Josh Wallenstein has a long-standing rivalry with soap and water. Bill Lake is in the building. He just got off stage. Can't act like you didn't see him. Bill Lake has been waiting for that Just for Men's contract since he started stand-up comedy. All right. That's everybody. Everybody gets one. All right. Now for the man of the hour. Before I say some nice stuff, Mike Peter has a joke. Mike Peter has a joke about having a small penis. Since he's dead, I got $5 that says he was fucking one of the cats. Any takers? Any takers? Before he announced that he had a girlfriend, I wrote this joke. I've never met one of his girlfriends before, an ex, if you will. I figured it out. It's because they don't exist. The females you have met, he paid them. He went through a lot of trouble and money to keep up this ruse. All right, that's nice. Not that bad, not that good at saying bad shit. But hey, on a mushy note, man, I appreciate you. I've learned more about you. You know, doing comedy, hanging out with you after comedy. I don't know, man. I appreciate you, bro. It's hard for me to say all this shit, man. You give us work. You giving me a lot of work, especially after COVID, man. You know what? Just be happy with the shit I said, all right? I appreciate you, Mike. Give a round of applause for Mike Peters, everybody.
Mike Terry, everybody. So brave of him to come up here and show off how illiterate he really is. All right, let's keep it going all the way from somewhere in Pennsylvania where this is considered okay. Chris Williams.
Thank you so much, Stephen. I appreciate it. You know, in like true preparation for today, on my drive, 2.5 hours to make fun of Mike Peters, may he rest in hell. My body was like, I'm gonna prepare you as much as I can, and a hemorrhoid burst in the middle of the drive. So I was like, yeah, that's gonna, be how the rest of this night goes. I just want to say that we are at the funeral for Mike Peters, and just to really represent how everybody feels about him, Sasha and Steven did all the planning, and not a single person helped him set up. Not a single person lifted a finger to help this man set up. I also feel like I'm one of the most underdressed comedians tonight, but really, I wanted to give Mike the respect and death that he deserved. And that's by wearing a hoodie that I spilled quesadilla on earlier today. In my home. I could have changed. It's like, that's not gonna happen. Mike was a good man in his life, but the worst thing he ever did was convince so many of us here today that we could do stand-up comedy. Mike Peters, in death, left a wonderful, wonderful girlfriend behind Sasha. Sasha and I have been friends for many years, to the extent that the first time they showed up somewhere together, our mutual friend Jared was like, "Is that Mike's girlfriend?" I was like, Sasha, no way. She definitely came to the show because she's my friend and not because she's dating Mike Peters. That made more sense to me. A person drove from Delaware 3 hours to Central PA to watch a set before they would be in a relationship with this man. They met during COVID over Zoom, which is really the best way to know Mike Peters. Several states away. The closest Mike Peters would have ever been to having a family that loved him was that time he lied to a local school to get free chocolate milk and frozen pizzas. That's something he actually did. He was like, yeah, I have 2 kids. And then he acted like it was a problem that he had to drink 2 gallons of chocolate milk every 7 days. Mike Peters, not many people know this, Mike Peters was autistic actually, but he was the least fun kind. He liked baseball. That's it. He couldn't count fast. He wasn't good with numbers. He just, hey Mike, who won the World Series in 1985?
The Royals.
Exactly. See? Could you imagine if Rain Man was about his kind of autism? That movie would be so short. It would be a guy being like, did you know the Kansas City Royals won in 1985? And then roll credits. That would be it. A few people had joked about this here tonight, but many of us are aware that in life, Mike Peters and Steven were lovers. It wasn't very secret. You might ask yourself what that bedroom sounded like. Imagine a building made out of raw hamburger being demolished with a wrecking ball made of ham. That's what it sounded like for those two to have sex. Let's see here. Mike Peters' favorite genre of music in life was pop punk, which meant he was not allowed within 500 feet of any schools, playgrounds, or daycares. Mike was also raised by 2 teachers, which is just evidence that the American education system doesn't stop failing at 3 p.m. That was my favorite one. I laughed so hard when I wrote that last night because I gave it the preparation it deserves. Drunk at 10 p.m. like, I really should write something for tomorrow. Mike Peters, one of his favorite bands was NoFX because it had a lead singer he could relate to. Fat Mike, for those of you who don't know, is the lead singer of NoFX. In passing, Mike has left 3 cats behind, Mac, Dennis, and Dee, which are characters from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, meaning that Mike himself made up the final 2 characters of Charlie and Frank, because he's short, fat, and crazy. And my last one is Mike Peters. One of his greatest claims to fame is that in the Larry Woodchusky video that Paul Kozlowski made, Mike Peters played the skunk because he fucking stinks. Now, in all seriousness, Mike, thank you so much for what you've done. Without you, I would have probably never performed in mid-state New York for tens of people. And really, the best thing you've ever given me in friendship is $60 on a Wednesday night. So I just want to say thank you very much for that. And actually, Jared McCallie, I'm going to FaceTime him right now. He has some things he would like to say to you as well. So let's see if he picks up. Wouldn't that be so funny if he didn't? That would be the best roast. For him to be like, I'm busy. Oh, he's driving. All right, are you ready, Jared? Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can everyone hear?
Yeah.
Go ahead, talk again, Jared.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Sounds good.
Hello. So, everybody know, Mike, where's Mike? Oh, okay, hi, Mike.
Where are you?
Hey, I had to go to a show. I'm right here. Oh,
No, it's breaking up.
Drunk.
no. You can hear me though? Good.
Yeah.
All right. As we know, Mike and comedian graduate Boston. Like someone's like, death of McDonald. All right. Okay. So this is just an ode to Mike. Here. This was a surprise comedy show for Mike, and the surprise is that Mike didn't book himself. Mike has affinity for the fast food restaurant Taco Bell, and it's funny because he's going to do the opposite of their slogan and live less. Okay. All right. Mike's a bit of a tough guy. He told me that he's not afraid of dying alone because he does that on stage 3 nights a week. Mike is a fan of the Major League Baseball team, the New York Mets. End of joke. Mike and I were talking the other day, and Mike said, I think my dryer is shrinking all of my clothes. And I said, no, Mike, that's just another household appliance speeding along the process called the refrigerator. These are all really dumb, just so you know. I just wanted them to be silly. They say every dog has his day, but Mike has 3 cats. Mike says he does lunges to stay in shape. That means he would be doing something his comedy career isn't, and that's taking a big step forward. This is my personal favorite. Mike wears a lot of cargo pants, so you can carry around the terrible emotional baggage of a childhood I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Terrible childhood on that guy. Mike just worked the Funny Bone Club in Syracuse. Yeah, that's because it's the court-ordered 500 feet away from the ladies' Foot Locker. There is like a robot laughing, I swear to God.
I think it's Russell.
Okay, fuck you, Russell. Anyway,
You see it?
in his act, Mike says he doesn't fare well with the ladies. After starting stand-up, he can now add crowds to the list. Okay, wait, never mind. I lied. This is my favorite one. Mike lives in Endicott. And that makes sense. The way his comedy career is going, he's going to end up on a cot. All right. Okay, serious stuff now. Mike is a great comic and a great producer. He gives everyone a chance, no matter how big or small. This says, point to Chris. All jokes aside, honestly, Mike is a guy we can all trust and put faith into. He's building more in a small scene than most people do in big ones. Mike has enriched my life immensely since coming in the last 2 years. Mike has a better work ethic than most comics I know, and it shows in his shows and his comedy. I like to say, honestly, Mike, thank you for being a constant catalyst of positivity and an outlet that at times is the exact opposite of that for most of us. And I want to say thanks, Mike, not just as a fellow comic, but as a friend. And you're the best.
You're the best. Thank you.
All right, wait, Jared, before you go, how does it feel to be 6'1" for the first time in your life?
How does it feel to be Sid?
Wouldn't know.
I'm your surrogate. Chris and I roast each other now? No. All right. Okay,
bye. Chris William and Jared McCallie, everybody. All right. Guy who has far more charisma than he has jokes, Mike Brindisi.
Wow. I wish Steven had told me I could have just fucking FaceTimed him. Well, this is exactly how I thought Mike Peters' funeral would be. All the people he slept with and then me. I don't know what's worse, that Mike Peters is dead or that I have to now picture Chris Williams sitting with a busted hemorrhoid for the rest of the fucking night. I want to thank Stephen Brown for putting this whole thing together. Yeah. Without him, this wouldn't be possible, and also without him, the room would be a lot safer for young women, and there'd be a lot more food left. This is incredibly sad, which is exactly the words that every ex-girlfriend of Mike said when he took his penis out. I'm not sure how Mike died, but I would imagine it probably had to do with jogging at a mild pace. We all know Mike loved animals, specifically his cats. We hear heartwarming stories all the time of people rescuing cats, and his cats rescued him from a life of misery. And, you know, they say, when you look at a tombstone, you see the birth year, you see the death year, but nobody pays attention to that dash in the middle, because that dash is your entire life. So with that being said, Mike's tombstone should have his birth year, then a comma, and then his death year. They also say that when a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. So now the next time I hear a bell ring, I'll know Mike got his wings. Mild, crispy, and with extra blue cheese. Mike did everything 100%. He was an incredible son, booking agent, comedian, pedophile. I want to mention that my heart does go out to Mike's family. His parents unfortunately couldn't be here because they're celebrating on a cruise in the Caribbean. The only thing Mike's parents hated more than cold weather was him. When they asked Mike's family if they wanted him buried or cremated, they said whichever makes it a sure thing. In case you doubt if Mike was loved, take a look around. I mean, we are at a fucking bar in Owego, New York. People don't know this, but Mike had a podcast. I'm so thankful for all the shows that Mike put me on. Without him, there really would be no comedy scene in upstate New York. We all know that. Without Mike, there also wouldn't have been a line of ex-girlfriends at all the abortion clinics as well. Some people said that Mike's comedy was edgy. Well, I say it was just awful. Mike was also more than just a comedian. He had a lot of different titles. Comedian, son, boyfriend. I just found this one out, Sylvester the Cat Molester. Mike also had a lot of talents outside of comedy. Did you know he's extremely good at 90s rock trivia? Which he's also really good at creeping women out because he used that pickup line. Hey, did you know I'm really good at 90s rock trivia? Now, I can't confirm, but Mike never struck me as a religious man. Actually struck me more as a transgender atheist, but that's different. He wasn't very religious. In fact, the only time the words Jesus Christ came out of his mouth was when he would get his dick stuck in his cat's asshole. Jesus Christ, not again! I'm sorry, it's really hard. That's exactly what Mike said to the kindergarten classes when he was substitute teaching. I truly am sorry that Mike never got to experience what it was like to have children. Then again, I'm truly happy that no child has to walk around saying, my dad is Mike Peters. Dad, where are we going for Bring Your Child to Work Day? Back to bed, Kevin. We're going back to bed. Now, some of you may be sitting here thinking, poor Mike died with nothing. That is just completely false. Mike died with chlamydia, clinical depression, hairy nipples, obesity, lower back pain, and micropenis. He also died hungry, I'm sure. He died with a lot. And with that being said, I want to just say thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me an outlet to do what I love the most. Everybody in this room is incredibly funny, and I'm honored to be part of this scene, and we love you, Mike. Happy birthday.
Mikey Brindisi, everybody. You know, he talked about how Mike left a long line of women at the abortion clinic. But we all know if anyone actually got impregnated by Mike, they wouldn't risk it and they would just shoot themselves in the head. Not just the baby. Right. Speaking of dead babies, here's another one we wish wouldn't have made it. Here comes RJ Purpura all the way from Rochester, New York, guys.
That's Purpura, by the way. Two purrs and an like the sound Mike's cats makes when he's inside of them. You know, like, very. I know it looks complicated and Italian to you people, but all right, I had to get that one out. Now, one more time for Mike Peters, everybody. The man of the hour, Mike Peters, or as he's known in comedy, the man of 10 to 15 minutes. Because he's a host. All right. No, great guy. He busts his ass. He busts his ass to get his shows booked at dive bars across Central New York, okay? Like, I don't know what the deal is there. Like, do you get Mets tickets every time I gotta compete with a hick that has never seen virtual bowling before? Like, you get fucking discounted SNY when you go to a town with more roadkill than minorities? Like, why do we... You know that you can do comedy in cities, places with buildings. All right. Mike is, of course, a big Mets fan, which is just sad. He chooses his teams kind of like he chooses his friends. You know what I mean? Look around this place. Yeah, got a bunch of fucking fatties, recovering addicts, and whatever Holly Griffin is. Like, I don't know. Yeah. All right. No, Mike does work really hard though. Like he did 100 shows in 1 year, which is just impressive. Like you got to give that guy, yeah, that's up for that guy. 100 shows, and he finally got to a host at the Funny Bone recently. I'm so proud this guy moved up from dive bars to malls, you guys. What are you gonna do for your 100th show this year? You're gonna headline an old folks home, dude? Like, you're gonna get a guest spot in a parking lot somewhere? What's your goal here? All right. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. I'm glad you're laughing, because this is for you. Fuck the rest of them, right? I don't know. Mike, we gotta give Mike credit, though. He is somewhat of a fashionista. He's pioneered the nearly homeless look. You look like a variant of Dave Attell that loves pop punk. just close enough to being homeless. Like the bounce. You really wanted to be a roadie for the Bouncing Souls, but you didn't have enough tattoos to do it. All right. Pop punk. Listen, that's the end of my shit. Listen, seriously, no, don't do that. Seriously, clap it up for this guy. He gives us an outlet to do like our favorite thing in the world, and like whether you guys laugh or not, like we wouldn't be able to do this without him. So seriously, thank you, Mike. Keep going for yourselves. Thank you.
RJ Pooper, right? Okay, let's keep it going. I gotta say, of all the comedy shows I've been to here, our next comic up had the best moments I've ever seen in a battle with Bobby. Give it up for Abdul Hadid.
Hey. It's good to be here. Originally, I was not supposed to be here because my car broke down. And when that happened, I thought, God is good. Then Mike said he can give me a ride, and fuck. And I'm just going to point it out. Mike and I are the only black people here. And, huh? Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not talking. I just want to make this clear. Having Mike and I here, we are not your black friends. I tolerate you. Let's make that clear. Yeah. It's good to be here. Good to see people. Mark Hoover looks like he failed a sex assault. I'm worried about you, man. Yeah. Ellen Doyle's here. Good to see her. First time seeing her in a dress. Yeah. Got some cake. Yeah. Gotta find out what these little wrists do. First time ever. Little wrists. That hurt my feelings. I've known Mike my entire comedy career, which isn't really a career. And I'm a recovering addict, and if you would have told me like 3 years ago that I'd be sober from heroin and I'd be doing a roast for Mike Peters, I would be betting against that. Every time I hang out with Mike Peters after a show, that's the closest I've ever gotten to realizing that I miss heroin. It's just, you represent all the low points that I miss. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. And I just hate you. That's it. Nothing else. Anybody else that I hate here? 2 black people. I'm just still astounded by that. Tori couldn't come down here.
I invited him. He didn't come.
That makes sense. Everyone keeps talking about you fucking your cats. What's that about, man? You're not asking the real question. Mike Peter has a girlfriend. Like seriously, it's like that's you right there, Sasha. I don't even know her name. What's her name? Okay, yeah, I'm just going on what everyone else calls you. That's how much I don't care about you. But in all seriousness, do you have to like purr like a cat at his dick when he doesn't get it out? Like, cause honestly, Stephen Brown told us to dress up, and no. I didn't dress up for my grandmother's funeral, and what makes you think I'm gonna dress up for this piece of shit? Seth Ruddick brought me weed juice, and he knows I'm a recovering addict, and that's why I have friends like him. I got nothing else to say, but Mike, I love you. You're one of my best dudes, and fuck you.
Abdul-Hadi, everybody. Woo! We've only got 4 more comics and Mike left. And we're just going to keep it moving because this is the longest he's ever sat on a stool that was actually the right side up. So next up we have Mr. Paul Spradaway from Pennsylvania.
Yeah! Keep it going for that guy. Yeah! I've never been in a room with more people I've never heard of before in my entire life. Pardon me, I wrote these jokes 10 minutes ago because I didn't give a fuck. And I've been drinking, I took an edible. Yeah, anything to do to forget that I didn't have anything else better to do today. Also, fuck you, Holly, for saying Ellen and Zach were the only 2 funny people here. Because they also didn't have anything better to do today.
I will not retract myself.
This is bullshit. Everybody round of applause for Russell's Make-A-Wish dream that came true today. I've never seen somebody so excited at something that 75% of us wish we didn't come to. I just wanted to, I was like, when Steven asked me to do this, I was like, yeah, but I was like, I know something better is gonna come, and I'm so mad that it didn't. Thanks to all the comics for wearing their valet uniforms to this show, too. I know you guys have a shift after this, so I hope you make it on time. Round of applause for Stephen Brown helping put this together. I know Stephen from Mike, Mike from Stephen. They're the best buds. They're like the Jay and Silent Bob nobody ever wanted. And I feel like Mike brings Stephen along just in case. He has to drive to Syracuse a lot, and if he gets stuck on the side of the road, he can cut him open like a tauntaun and just throw him in. Just stay warm until help arrives. Round of applause, Sasha helped put this together. Sasha. The hottest girlfriend in the Binghamton comedy scene, is that what this is? Also the only girlfriend I've met in the Binghamton comedy scene. You all might have significant others, but I assume the bar is low. That's why I know she's the hottest. Bill Lake is here. Bill Lake is super funny, but also terrifying. Bill Lake is what I think the Grim Reaper would look like in real life if he was a human. Now to talk about the man we're here to, you know, whatever this fucking supposed to be. How does it feel to know 75% of the people wouldn't be here unless you booked them? They have nothing better to do today because you're here and there's no show anywhere else. I'm not good at roasting, this isn't my thing, especially roasting somebody as uninteresting as Mike. I was like, I really gotta dig deep for this shit. It's fun because we're pretending Mike died, but I want to announce at this that I am taking bets on how long, if Mike really did die, how long it would take for somebody to find the body. So meet me in the back, over under 7 days. Is that too dark for you guys? Go fuck yourselves. I'm very happy the Fat Danger Aaron could be here today. That's pretty awesome. I thought that was a deep cut. Congrats to Mike. He does take care of a lot of us. We do work a lot because of Mike. He booked Seth Ruddick enough that he's convinced he can move to New York City. So you guys can all thank that vote of hope. I don't have much left, but I also bought my entire outfit from PacSun, so I'm glad we're on the same page. That's my last roast joke. But Mike, thank you seriously. You've given me a lot of work since I moved back north, and you've given a lot of unfunny people a lot of stage time. So thank you. I appreciate that. I'm Paul Spratt.
Paul Spratt, everybody. All right, coming to the stage. He failed all the way from Hollywood, California, to here today to Weagle, New York. Will Phillips.
All right. If I seem a little tired tonight, I apologize. I didn't get much sleep. I had a nightmare that Stephen Brown and Seth Ruddick were clipping each other's toenails. Mike Peters is a big Mets fan, which is why I wrote 1.5 pages of Mets jokes. So here we go. Mike Peters puts on more weight. He puts on weight faster than former starting New York Mets pitcher Bartolo Colon, who pitched for the Mets from 2014 to 2016. When I first met Mike Peters, he was as thin as former New York Mets utility infielder Joe McEwen. But now it's as if Bartolo Colon ate Joe McEwen. Mike Peters recently opened up for Greg Fitzsimmons at the Funny Bone. I haven't seen a setup man that weak since Mel Rojas pitched for the New York Mets from 1997 to 1998. Mike Peters has had a long-standing deal with Buried Acorn. I haven't seen a company give a deal to an underperforming fat guy like that since the Mets traded for Mo Vaughn in 2002 to 2003. Mike Peters has terrible hygiene. His teeth are so big and rotten, you'd think you'd find them on the necklace of Turk Wendell, New York Mets relief pitcher from 1997 to 2000. Mike Peters has terrible facial hair. His facial hair looks like relief pitcher Bobby Parnell if he had mange. Mike Peters' actual birthday is February 12th. It's the most depressing day of the year after July 1st, which is Bobby Bonilla Day. If you don't know what that is, don't give a shit. One time, Mike Peters produced a great show with lots of people. That's not the joke. But the crowd was red hot. I haven't seen a crowd that explosive since 1993 when New York Mets outfielder Vince Coleman threw a firecracker into the crowd, injuring a 1-year-old girl. Thanks. Mike Peters has famously bad luck with women. I haven't seen someone be so bad with women since the Mets fired general manager Jared Porter in 2021 for sending unsolicited dick pics to a reporter. Mike Peters' luck with women has people wondering about his sexuality. I haven't seen that much confusion over a man's sexuality since New York Mets catcher Mike Piazza infamously held an awkward press conference. You know what I'm talking about? I know. All right. I was on one of the very first episodes of Mike Peters' podcast. His foray into podcasting is less successful than when the New York Mets tried catcher Todd Hundley in left field. Mike Peters is a chronic masturbator. I haven't seen one man discharge that much bleach-smelling fluid since 1993, when New York Mets starting pitcher Brett Saberhagen filled a squirt gun full of actual bleach and fired it at reporters. You remember that?
He's mouthing the news story.
He knows the history of the Mets. Now here's the serious part then is then when you say nice things, and that's when I'll say, so if the Binghamton comedy scene were the 1986 Mets, you would be the Gary Carter of that team. Now I'm not saying that because I hope you die of brain cancer. I'm saying that because you are a good man and you often put other people ahead of yourself. And for all the opportunities that you've given not only myself, but for plenty of other people in the upstate region, I want to say that I like you very much. And I appreciate you. And I would probably come to your actual funeral.
The good news is there's no way that Mike outlives any of us, so we'll all have a second chance at this. Give it up for Will, guys. Let's come to the stage. All the way from Pennsylvania, favorite of everyone here, Ellen Doyle.
Fuck this. Mike doesn't have this many friends, so it's extremely frustrating how long I've been standing here. I couldn't think of a good enough excuse to not come. I was real bummed Bill Russell as a kid. That's why he's not here. I was kind of bummed I miscarried that baby 12 years ago. So I also wrote some terrible jokes. When I heard that Mike killed himself, I did what anybody would do, and I went straight down to the bar to collect my money from the dead pool. So when I discovered he actually had a heart attack in a Taco Bell drive-thru, I was like, this is fucking awful. Really could have used that money. What can I say about Mike that no one else has said? Nothing. Mike is a one-note guy. Insert cat joke. I met Mike years ago at Spotlight. I was in the area. I needed to go to a mic. He told me to come up. It's exactly what you expected. I walked in, it was him and Bill Lake. The three of us did comedy for each other like self-righteous assholes. But that did set the precedent for every show that Mike has booked me on since, which starts with, hey, how's it going? There's usually more people. Mike Peters was never allowed to own a belt, apparently. I've seen Mike Peters' ass more times than I've seen the people that I've fucked more than once. I think he wasn't allowed to have a belt because the clerks knew that he would masturbate with it, and not in like an autoerotic fixation thing, but that he would wrap it around his penis until it turned purple, fell off, and then he'd put it in a hot dog bun. It's frowned upon, yeah. Actually, a couple years ago on my birthday, Mike came down to Scranton and Zach Hammond was there and we all went to a bar. And Zach and I funnily found a link that said, take this test and find out if you're autistic. And Zach and I giggled and said, Mike, you want to take this test? And Mike said, sure. We're like, that's already 78% autistic. Just the fact that you want to do it. Turns out he's 96% on the spectrum. I have been writing him off on my taxes as a charitable donation. Mike, I can't believe that you have a girlfriend. Sasha, how are you? I don't pray, but I do pray for you. It's got to be really hard to hold a vacuum cleaner close enough to his small penis in order for him to get off. Slow pause for everybody to remember what it feels like for Mike to be dead. Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. You can still get stage time literally anywhere. Now's a good time to tell the rest of you, just put yourself out there. There's actually a couple more opportunities than this gentleman right here. But Mike, I did spend your birthday with you. You booked me on a show, so you paid me for it. And I carried all the gear in for you. We had to drive together because Mike's car is a donut. Not because he hit anything, he's just fucking hungry all the time. But it was really nice to be with you for your birthday, and I appreciate you choosing me to go to the Valentine's Day show, and it made me super excited to not go to Taco Bell with you afterwards. I did not like the photo. Did not like that photo. Don't encourage this type of behavior. I don't know why any of us are encouraging it. Mike posts pictures of his cats all the fucking time, and for a solid year, every time he posted a picture of his cat, I cry-faced emoji at it. It was the only time he sent me a text and was like, that's not funny. It's like, cry for helps usually aren't funny. But happy birthday, Mike, even though it was last week and I already said it then. I love you, buddy. Thanks so much.
Ellen Doyle, everybody. She talked about how she got paid to hang out with Mike on his birthday, but it's not the most embarrassing she's done that ended up with him handing her a $20 bill. But all right, our last comic of the night before the man of the hour. Let's get it up for Zach Hammond, everybody.
Thank you, Stephen, for putting this shit together. Roll this down. All right, fuck it, we'll hold the mic. Fuck, I hate you. I really, not like everybody else hates you, just the fact that you're in my fucking life. I hate the fact that I know somebody like you. I also hate the fact that you actually think black is slimming. That's what I hate the most about you. I didn't know you could bury a wrecking ball. That's fucking crazy. Is that the one? Is everybody still pissed off about the 50 Cent thing? We can't make fun of this fat piece of shit right now? Really? Abdul told everybody he'd rather do heroin and me making fun of him for being fat. That was the one like, oh, come on, man, you can't go that far. Mike's not wearing black because it's slimming. He's just wearing that because it would be the third black thing he knows and owns at this point. Mike has a podcast called On the Mic with Mike Peters. That is clever fucking wordplay, man. I have no... Mike usually, like, but between Mike and I, usually like, why can't I ever host at the Boho? And I agree with that. I don't understand why you're not headlining at the fucking Boho with clever jokes like that. I've seen who headlines there. You should be headlining there with fucking jokes like that. You also, Bill, like, he books the fucking thing. I don't understand how he's not headlining that fucking place. My grandmother called me a bitch. That's headliner shit right there, man. Instead, you just hear Mike going boo-hoo all the fucking time. Paul pointed out that, I'd like to point out, Paul Spratt is here. Paul and I started comedy at the exact same time. Paul and I have both been doing comedy for 13 years. Paul went to New York, made a lot of famous friends, and did comedy all over the country, and 13 years later, we're both in the same place. So I made the right decisions by the things that I did. Ellen too. I mean, here's the crazy thing about Mike. I've been doing comedy for 13 years. Mike Peters is the only person who has ever said to me, hey, do you want to do a show at that bar that Ellen almost got raped at? Do you want to do that one again? Oh yeah, let's do that. I need $100 on a Saturday. Why the fuck not? Mike Peters is responsible for convincing more people to do comedy that should have killed themselves years ago. Does anybody know where Hal Stewart is, by the way? You are such an inspiration to retarded people around the world. Like, you really are. Like, if you just stare, like, you could just tell people, like, if you just stare at a bartender long enough, they will give you a comedy show just to fucking leave the place. Right? Like, fucking love you, Mike. Mike's one of, here's, again, I say I hate him. Mike's one of my favorite people because he actually gets me. Like, it's not hard to understand me, but Mike's one of the only people that's also ever said to me, you know, if I were going to make like a line of like dolls that were you, there would just be a pull string and you would just constantly say cunt all the time. I'm like, that's me! He gets it! It's you and my girlfriend. Speaking of girlfriends, everybody here keeps telling Mike that Sasha is the one, and she absolutely is, but I want you to know it's a very low bar to be the one for Mike, okay? All you have to do is not be a whore and steal his prescription pain medication. It's really fucking easy to be a good girlfriend for Mike Peters. You've broken your collarbone twice, which is as many scales as you fucking broke. Just wanted to get one more fat joke in there before you kill yourself with Taco Bell later. I love the food options that you have in the back too. Cheese and tacos, my favorite food groups. Where the fuck are we so I can get the hell out of here? Mike's cat, or as efficient hunters as he is a fucking booker in comedy. They made friends with the mouse, and you made friends with a lot of shitty fucking people, man. Mike thought the best way to get people not to be on his shows was to tell them, like, no, you have to show up to open mics to do shows that I book, and he completely underestimated what people were willing to do for $25 on a Wednesday. Alright, this is the last one I'm going to do, but again, Mike, I really do consider you a great friend. I enjoy talking to you. I don't really enjoy talking to many people. As Ellen pointed out by me standing in the fucking corner while everybody was filling up this place. I don't like talking to fucking people at all. Ellen and I have sat in a car for many, 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 many hours not listening to any music until she goes, you know, we can listen to music, right? And not make this awkward as fuck. I'm like, oh, let's do that. So the last thing I want to say about Mike, without Mike Peters, the Scranton comedy scene could have drifted away and died. And instead, you gave opportunities to really unfunny people to go to a different state and be really unfunny there. And then that gave them so much confidence that they went back to Scranton and pretended like they meant something because I did a show in New York one time. Like that's what you've accomplished, and I can't say fuck you enough for that. Thank you, everybody. I love you.
Zach Hammond, everybody, thank you guys. All right, so I want to thank you guys again, everyone, for coming out here, giving up our Sunday afternoon if we had nothing else going on for Mike. Thank you so much for the John Barleycorn for having us, guys. They're not even open today. They're here just for us, just for this. Don't forget, guys, there is the tip jar up front, and that is only going to Mike, so please, just like pennies. Okay? And now, I don't want to get choked up, but don't worry, his penis is so small, so it wouldn't happen. But Mike is one of my best friends. We got to know each other late in life, and it's very rare as like someone in their 40s to make a new friend. And I'm just so happy and proud of him. He works so hard. He does so much for all of us here. Well, most of us here. But I would like everyone, please stand up, make it real loud. It's the only time he's ever going to get a standing ovation. So please, louder, louder, louder. Let's give it up for Mike Peters, everybody.
How much did that hurt for you to play that song? I was fucking killed. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Johnny Mac, everybody. I bought a suit for this shit. Not fucking worth it. I love you guys so much. I have jokes for you guys. Give it up for Steve. Help put us together. I go to Steve's house every Sunday, mainly because it's hard for him to stand up on his own. You gotta go to his house sometimes. Steve's stairwell is lined with like dozens of sneakers, which is odd because it looks like you've given up walking in 2011. A lot of people won't admit to making mistakes, but that's not Steve's style. He's named his. All three of them, man. I have to clean the litter box at Steve's house because he said that the smell will actually make him throw up, and that's exactly why I play on my phone while Steve's on stage. Awful. If I have to hear you talk about sitting on a wiffle ball bat one more time, I'm going to call your dad and say he was right for leaving. Steve is 6'4" and 360 pounds. You owe the right side of my car an apology. How nice of you. Steve is obsessed with seeing my dick. Probably because he hasn't seen his since college. That's not a fat joke, that's a small dick joke. Steve said he's going to get a tattoo of me on his body. And it made me nervous because I'm like, oh, should it be the left side or the right side? Then I thought of the canvas. It could be my whole goddamn body on that one. Johnny Mac, thank you so much for having us here.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I appreciate the hell out of you. I mean, you got a lot of money, you got a successful business, you're a great musician, you're friends with Steve Brown. You were almost perfect. You pay me and all these idiots to do comedy at your bar. How the hell are you a successful businessman? Right.
I tried not to.
Months. I was there. John Bianchi, thank you for doing everything. I like John Bianchi because someone has to. John went to see Municipal Waste last weekend, which is funny because that's what I call his comedy. I told my therapist I was going to give up lying. The only exception is when I introduced John Bianchi as a very funny guy. Mike Brindisi.
Oh boy.
Thanks, dude. Thanks for coming. McCall from Ithaca. He's a student, mind you. Mike Brindisi is a huge draw in Ithaca. The only place he's bigger is in his own fucking mind. Brindisi was actually on SNL. He's the only thing Jimmy Fallon didn't laugh at in 6 years. Mike was the singer of the band, the New York Rock. And they toured all over the country, and they made 4 albums. I mean, man, they really will let white guys do whatever the hell they want, regardless of the talent. It's a good time to be us, huh? Dan Mullen, give it up for him, please. Dan Mullen is my favorite part about Elmira. Right after the high murder rate, the 2 prisons, and everything else I know about Elmira. Dan quit drinking because he was getting too rowdy. Can you guys imagine a drunk Dan Mullen? What do? Watch a second episode of Murder, She Wrote? Do you read loudly? Dan turns down about, and this is no different, Dan turns down about half the gigs I offer him. Do you know how bad that makes you feel to be rejected by Dan Mullen? You are the reason I'm still in therapy. Awful guy. Mark Hoover. How do you guys think he actually got that black eye? Every time I see Mark at the open mic or a show, he's with a different woman. It's a real shame that sex offender registry is public, huh? When Mark started doing comedy, he mentioned it, we met at the wine cellar, and I talked to him for 2 hours, trying to encourage him to get on stage. Sorry, everybody. That's my bad. Spent that time doing something else. Mark got a DUI, unfortunately. He had to quit his job as a cop. But hey, at least you got that sweet pizza delivery job. That's good. Mark puts on a good front, but I know he misses being a cop. I mean, now he has to harass black people on his time off. It's not the same. Pick up. Mark recently decided to quit drinking, and I think it's a great thing. Alcoholism is tough to beat, but I have no doubt you can beat it, just like you beat every guy named Tyrone in Binghamton. Speaking of black guys, Mike Terry is here. Mike Terry is the first black guy I had in my apartment. Also the last. Cats are not a fan. Mike Terry hosts the No Name podcast, which goes great with a no talent host. No, seriously, Mike Terry is truly one of the best comedians in Syracuse. Right after Abdul Hadi, Justin Jackson, a retired R.J. McCarthy, Jackson, Brian Enck, and a dead Walter Miller. He died for that joke. Snover, he gives me a $25 gift card every Festivus. It's going to take a whole lot more than that for you to buy a friend. Snover did a guest spot at a show I did in Cortland, and then he came home and peed on my apartment wall. I was shocked. I mean, it was the only thing of his that landed all night. I guess probably don't know this is true. Matthew Snover, he actually moved down to New York City to become an actor, but he wasn't that good at it, so he decided to switch to comedy, where he found truly the job he was born for. A third shift apartment building doorman. That's true too. Chris William, you made the drive for this. Thank you so much. It's beautiful. Chris William broke his bed while sleeping and his fiance's spirit in high school. Sad. Chris is getting married in June, unless the spell wears off. In which case, he's just going to be standing in front of his fridge eating prosciutto like he does most weekends. Chris has been podcasting for 10 years, and it looks like it. I've listened to every single episode of Chris's 3 podcasts. Riffbusters, I'm Annoyed, Up and Up. What can I say? I want to be unique. Chris once fractured his penis while having sex. It's okay though, his cat didn't even feel him enter.
I make fun of you for fucking your cat.
You should have.
The only one.
I really wish Jared McCallie was actually here. But in order for that to happen, the whole night would have had to have been called Jared McCallie Presents the Funeral of Mike Peters starring Jared McCallie. And I'd have to get him a hotel room too. I love editing. I've been editing Jared's podcasts for 2 years, and I love doing all that work just so he can decide it sucks and erase it. But honestly, that's my fault because I should have put the episodes on a higher shelf. Jared is such a good writer. You guys heard it. Jared's a great writer.
and he's always got insults loaded and ready to go. Unless you have the magic words. It's just 3 of them. 5'8". We'll release that podcast episode one day. I have it. Holly Griffin is here. I don't know if you guys know, my mom actually taught Holly Griffin in kindergarten. Before Holly came along, my mom had never met a 5-year-old lesbian. Remember that? Christmas is awesome that year. Oh, really lucky. I wish Holly came to more open mics. I'm the only one. I wish she did.
Those guys fucking hate me.
Holly won't have sex with just any guy. They have to ask first. I was shocked. I know Holly's mom, and she actually gave me a ride one time, not in the perfect way. I was shocked the first time I heard Holly call her mom a cunt. I was like, Mrs. Griffin, I know Holly. Shouldn't you be calling her a cunt? I like that one. Josh Wallenstein, give it up for him. Every guy questions his sexuality at least one time. Then they meet Josh Wallenstein and say, oh no, women it is. Definitely women. Josh's favorite TV show growing up was Lizzie McGuire. No shit. Who fucking saw that coming? You know the episode of the movie Good Will Hunting? Like the ending of it when Ben Affleck comes up to Matt Damon's door and then he reads a note and Matt Damon's gone and he's never coming back and Ben Affleck smiles because he'll never see him again. That's the exact feeling I have every time you don't show up to an open mic. And he's gone. Go back to California. No joking, you have been a great addition to the Binghamton comedy scene. Before you came along, only Steve wanted to see our dicks. That's sobriety. I'm really sorry, Josh, that your mom is not with us. She's not around to see you finally chase your dream. I'm sure she's not sad. But I am. I see what you mean. RJ Purpura. I gotcha. I get excited every time I'm working with RJ Purpura. Then I remember I was thinking of RJ McCarthy, and then I get sad again. RJ moved to New York City, and I swore we had lost him for good. Then I remembered his material, and I knew he'd come back. RJ and I think one of the first times we ever met was at an open mic in Syracuse. It was a place called Biblos, which is fitting because that place failed too. I like him a lot. I like Seth Ruddick. Seth Ruddick truly is one of my best friends, especially in comedy, and also the reason I hide my Percocet. I broke my collarbone twice. He came over just to watch Dumb and Dumber with me and see how strong my pills were. I don't know if it was in that order. Those are the two things that happened. Seth looks like if Genital Warts had a face. Seth is moving to New York City. He's going to do great down there. I can't think of a better place for you to get high on mushrooms and get murdered in the subway. I'm looking forward. I can't wait for you to get past at all the clubs. The Stand, the Cellar, 27. He's going to kill himself in that joke. Read a book. Watch VH1, do something. Abdul Hadid is moving to New York City with Seth. You thought you already knew depression. Just wait, man. I give you 2 months before you kill yourself and Seth uses your corpse as a cum rag. 2 months. That's it. I am really gonna miss you, Abdul, when you do move. Now I'll have to go back to mailing my money directly to Ethiopia.
Abdul quit doing drugs a couple years ago, and he's truly a much better person. He's way happier now. If only he would quit doing comedy, we'd all be happier. Abdul once got in trouble in Rochester for calling himself retarded on stage. And in true solidarity, I've been calling Abdul retarded behind his back for years. With you, pal. Ellen Doyle, you are a dress for me. You can do that. Ellen had to take some time away from stand-up to work in reality TV. And in case you're wondering, no one missed you. My girlfriend was actually, she was nervous. She thought I would cheat with Ellen. I was like, no way! I've already turned 2 women gay. There's no way I'm gonna push Ellen off that line that she's been walking over for like 20 years. No way! Someone else do that. Ellen is always quick to give advice to comedians. And why should we listen? I mean, she's a 38-year-old woman who moved in with her divorced parents. How can we be led astray? Ellen did production work on porn sets. She really did important work. Because whenever the guy was about to come, all he had to do was look at Ellen and he said, I'm good for 20 more minutes. Oh, Will Phillips. I love Will Phillips. Will Phillips is one of the best comedians in Utica, which is a whole lot less impressive when you meet the other comedians in Utica. Will sent me a picture of him building Jerry's apartment from Seinfeld in Legos. That's the closest he's ever going to get to being a successful New York comedian. Pretty good builder, though. Will wrote a book called Hollywood Failure. And it's a great book, it really is. I only had one problem, and that's with the title. I think it's one word too long. Just be Failure by Will Phillips. And if you think about it, you don't even need the name. Because whenever I see failure, I think Will Phillips. Honestly, it's really hard to write jokes about Will Phillips. He is a fantastic comedian. He's a great writer. He's charming. He's good looking. On behalf of everybody else here, go to hell, Will! Dickhead. Paul Spratt. Paul Spratt is an only child. You can see why. Making that mistake again. Paul Spratt is like the Dollar Tree version of Bill Burr. All the fake anger and none of the intelligence or talent. It's impressive. Paul has an album. It came out in 2017. It's called Fuck Yeah! Paul's Here. Lots changed in 5 years. Now it's, oh, fuck! Paul's here. I love you, Paul. I got one more for you. I love you so much. Paul used to date Caitlin Peluffo, but they broke up, and they both gone on to do better things with their lives. Caitlin was on Colbert. She got passed at the Comedy Cellar. Now she's touring, headlining all over the country. And Paul moved to Scranton.
Fuck me if you want to get success.
Can you dress up as a cat? Let's not do it. Zach Hammond. When I started doing stand-up, I looked up to Zach because I didn't know any better. Not at all. Zach got a vasectomy. The only one happier about that than Zach was everybody who's heard him talk. No way. I watched Zach tell a woman who was celebrating her birthday to go play in traffic. I just think it's nice that you're sharing childhood memories with strangers. Zach is really fun to watch on stage because he talks so fast and he hardly ever stumbles over his words. And I was thinking about why you do that, and I think I figured it out. If he slows down, he can actually hear people not laughing, and it'll throw him off his game. Zach does stand up all over the country, from Maine to Washington, telling jokes to thousands of people, all in hopes of him finding that one person who likes him. Last is Bill Lake. Give it up for Bill Lake. When I started this comedy, the only thought I had in mind was, I just want Bill Lake to like me. God, was I stupid. So dumb. Bill has been an absolute gem for the Binghamton comedy scene. Whenever somebody comes over to Bill and tries to get advice as to how to get on stage, he's always quick to say, you should talk to Mike Peters. Bill Lake was the very first guest on my podcast, on Mike Peters. My parents told me when I was young, it's very early, or it's very, very important for you to get your mistakes out of the way early. Well, thanks, Bill, for helping out with that. So many people die in Bill Lake's jokes. So many people. And every time I see him come on stage, I just wish I was one of those people. When Bill was a kid, he wanted to be Pistol Pete Maravich in the worst way because he was his favorite basketball player. And I wish Bill would have been Pistol Pete too, because he would have died in 1988. To be sincere, I can't thank you guys enough for doing this. I host all these shows so nobody will look at me after the first 15 minutes. I like to be on other people. I would have thought maybe Russell would come. He's got nothing else to do. There's booze and a microphone. Russell will be there. Won't be performing. Gotcha, buddy. No, I can't thank you guys enough. I mean, just the work that Steve put in and Sasha. Give it up for Sasha too. She is without a doubt my favorite girlfriend. Mostly because she is the only one who will let me call her my girlfriend in public. Thank God every day for low bars. But this is the Binghamton comedy scene is a family. As you can see, none of my actual family is here. I depend on you guys for a lot. You guys make it seem like I actually have a career, and I don't. so I'm lost for words. So Holly, you're welcome. I can't thank you guys enough. Johnny for letting us be here. Everybody for coming out and helping me over the last 6 years. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I love you all very, very much.
All right, guys, let's give it real loud for the reason we're all here, Mr. Michael Barry Peters. Guys, he drove himself tonight, so start buying him shots, so maybe this can still happen by midnight, okay? Get home safe.